Good afternoon. It's still October 7th, and it's 1:22 in the afternoon here in western Iowa. I just wanted to jump on real quick and talk more about Hurricane Milton because some extraordinary things are happening with Milton. It is strengthening and fast. So I want to start with the visible satellite, which is always fun to look at anyway. You can see the sun coming up across the western U.S. One frame of dirty data that I wish Pivotal Weather would have gotten out of there, but they didn't, and that's okay. And then here is Milton way down here. This is, I need to click on that so you can see my cursor. There we go. There's Milton, little tiny eye right about there. And it is strengthening fast. We're going to read the entire forecast discussion for you to find out exactly what's going on from the National Hurricane Center. This is the Yucatan Peninsula here, just northern Mexico. And of course, here's Florida sticking out like a sore thumb, getting hit from all sides by hurricanes. And Milton's going to smack it hard. Thankfully, not as hard as as the current winds are. I'm going to take a closer look here. When you pay for Pivotal Weather, the Pro version, I guess I'm spending $20 a month on that. You can zoom in by region. And so I went to the southeast region, and this is the same visible satellite. But unfortunately, it doesn't quite catch the Yucatan Peninsula. So we're just barely seeing the northern edge of Milton, and we can't quite get it in the frame. That's going to change tomorrow. So we should be able to update you tomorrow and have a much better look on the visible satellite tomorrow afternoon, assuming I have time to do an update, which why not? I should make the time, right? Of course. You're interested. You want to see it. So here's the latest on Milton. This is dramatic. Top winds now are 175 miles an hour sustained. 175 miles sustained. And I know this morning I was tired and I've been sick and I was a little low energy, and I even got the category wrong this morning. I said category 2. It was category 3 this morning. Well, it's category 5 right now, moving easterly at 9 miles an hour. Here's your Saffir-Simpson. Apparently I stole this from a Channel 10 somewhere, probably off of Facebook. I don't even know when I lifted this. But anyway, this morning winds were about, what were they, 125, I think? So that would have been a category 3 with the devastating damage. Of course, when it's out in the middle of the Gulf, just don't be a ship in its way. You'll probably be fine. But you get 157 plus and you're category 5. So we're at 175. So we're category 5 storm right now. Now, thankfully, it's not expected to stay that way. So let's go back to our satellite here. I have another tab open. I think this is it right here. Let's just read this together. This is the Hurricane Milton forecast discussion right there. And so this is straight from the weather forecasters at the National Hurricane Center, what they're thinking as they're going into, to make the forecast for Milton. So this is just you can do this with your local forecast too, the National Weather Service. They put out the forecast discussions, and it gives you really a lot of insight into what's going on and what's going through their mind as they're forecasting these things. So this is 10 o'clock Central. So it was about 3 hours ago, so there should be an update coming later this afternoon, but not yet. So as of 10 o'clock this morning, here's what they were saying. Milton's remarkable rapid intensification is continuing. Satellite images show a small eye within the very cold central cloud cover, and the eye is becoming better defined. Data from the Mexican radar at Sabanquay, I don't know, show a small closed eye with an intense eye wall presentation. The Hurricane Hunter aircraft earlier reported a peak flight wind level, of 146 knots, and drop Sunday data show that the pressure has fallen around 933 millibars. Well, it's lower than that now, which is down, and that was down 22 millibars in the last 4 hours as of 10 a.m. The initial wind speed is set at 135 knots, which is an 80 knot increase in 24 hours, and it's gone up since then. Only eclipsed by Wilma in 2005 and Felix in 2007 in our records. In other words, this is third fastest in intensification. Pretty dramatic here. The hurricane is still moving. East-southeastward now about 8 knots. Global models continue to insist that Milton will turn eastward soon as the frontal low pressure over area over the northeastern Gulf of Mexico departs. The new forecast near Mexico is about the same as the previous one, but is close enough to bring hurricane force winds to the northern portion of the Yucatan Peninsula. So remember this morning I said some tropical force winds for Yucatan. Well, it looks like hurricane force now as the storm is getting closer. Later, a new mid-level trough dropping into the northwestern Gulf of Mexico should then cause Milton to move east-northeastward to northeastward at a faster forward speed. And the official National Hurricane Center track forecast is shifted to the north. So they're moving the track a little bit to the north. This forecast is close to a consensus of the latest GFS, European, and regional hurricane models. Note that this track is closer to the model fields rather than the model trackers, which appear to be too far south. Milton is likely to become a Category 5 hurricane later today. That has happened, with light shear and very warm waters in its path. By tomorrow, its intensity should be dictated by an eyewall replacement cycles, which will likely cause this system to gradually weaken but grow larger. So think of a figure skater. Figure skater spinning with her arms out, or his, I don't know, whatever. And when they tuck in their arms, their angular momentum causes them to spin faster. So a smaller storm is spinning faster, and then if you take your arms out, you're going to spin a little slower. So as Milton grows, it's going to slow down a little bit, gradually weaken, but grow larger. So after 36 hours, Milton is expected to encounter this is great news right here, a much less favorable environment with strong shear and dry air entrainment. Therefore, some weakening is anticipated before the hurricane reaches the Florida Gulf Coast. However, the system is still likely to be a large and powerful hurricane at landfall in Florida, with life-threatening hazards at the coastline and well inland. After landfall, Milton should weaken and start extratropical transition, which should be complete by 96 hours. And here are your key messages. It's the normal stuff, hurricane force winds, increasing risk of life-threatening storm surge. We'll show you that in a second. It hasn't changed since this morning. Areas of heavy rainfall, we'll show you that too. This is what's really interesting. So as they were writing this, winds were 155. Then 12 hours from when they write there, they were anticipating 165, then 160, then 155. So anyway, the winds have. So after, let me slow down here. So 12 hours. So by 10 o'clock tonight, they're anticipating those winds to be 165. Well, as we were showing you, the winds right now are at 175. So hopefully, as we get into tomorrow, Milton's going to start growing in size, which has its own hazards, but slow down in wind speed. So that's what we're hoping for. And so we go from 155 to 165 and then start going back down. Now, Milton's already overperformed with those winds at 175. So, but when we're looking at landfall Wednesday night, see, it's Monday afternoon right now, Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday afternoon, 48 hours. So at 48 hours, I have it 145. And then, so landfall between 145 miles an hour and 125 miles an hour, even though Milton's a little stronger than that now. So we have a chance of Milton making landfall, even weakening, with winds around 150 miles an hour is possible, which is insane. When we look at Saffir-Simpson, 150 is going to be a solid, strong Category 4. And we could be looking at even at 130, 135. We're probably looking at a Category 4 storm when it makes landfall around Tampa Bay. The city of Tampa, Tampa's the bay. The city is Tampa. And so the hurricane, as a major hurricane, probably a Category 3, should be making landfall tomorrow evening. And then move across Florida and weaken as it goes. Here's your storm surge. I wouldn't be surprised if they update. Now, let me tell you why. This is something I observed with Katrina. I haven't heard anyone talking about this yet, and we'll see if someone else brings it up. But what happened with Hurricane Katrina became a Category 5 in the Gulf, and then it weakened before it made landfall near New Orleans, like a Category 3, kind of like what Milton's expected to do. But while Katrina was a Category 5, it was piling up waves, ocean, storm surge. And so that storm surge, when it made landfall as a Category 3, overperformed. It had closer to Category 5 type storm surge because it spent so much time as a Category 5 in the Gulf. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but it's something to watch out for, because right now the storm surge forecast, let's say, if the storm still heads to Tampa or maybe a little bit further north, the storm surge now is looking 8 to 12 feet, which is a lot. But if you go to 20 feet, how much more dangerous is that? Especially when you're talking about Tampa, which is a large metropolitan city, and Tampa Bay, which has so much development all the way around it. So this is very dangerous indeed, and we don't want that storm surge to be higher, but something to listen for when you're listening. If you're in the Tampa, if you live along Tampa Bay, you're probably already out of there. At least I hope so. Or you're making those plans, because this is going to be rough. All right, the rain. This map has not changed since this morning. I don't know if they're going to update this. This is just the rainfall of the next 5 days. It's going to be a lot of rain, a foot or more for some areas. Even on the low end, we're looking at 1 to 2 inches in the light green, say Miami to Lake Okeechobee, but 2 to 4 in the darker green, and then it goes up from there. So it's going to be a lot. And so I just wanted to bring you that update on Milton, because I tell you what, man, this is going to be a dangerous storm for Florida, and we don't need that. We really don't need that after everything that they've been through. But this is what's coming. It's best to prepare if you're in Florida, and I'm sure you're listening to everything that the emergency people are talking about. And then for the rest of us that just love weather and Mother Nature, and it's just interesting to watch. So we're going to hope for the best. We're going to pray for those folks on the peninsula, and also hope that they get out of harm's way as Milton continues to strengthen, and then tomorrow starts to weaken as it accelerates towards Florida. So that's my update this afternoon. I'm going to post this real quick, and probably my next update will be tomorrow morning with our usual The Weather Mike thing. So we'll see you then. Thanks again. Have a great day.